universe is a vast expanse of stars, planets, and possibilities. A never-ending frontier that, despite it being infinite, is still expanding into infinity. For as long as humans have existed, we've looked up at the stars and wondered what else is out there and who else is out there. In just the observable universe, there are 2 trillion galaxies. Each one of these 2 trillion galaxies has 100 billion stars, and 1 in 5 stars has an Earth-like planet. With such a high number of planets similar to Earth, we have to wonder, why haven't we seen any signs of intelligent life out there? Is the formula for life in the universe more complicated than just having a decent planet to spawn into? Or does the universe hide a dark secret about the possibility of life existing out there that humanity hasn't discovered yet? The Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy, or commonly referred to as the 3 Body Problem series by Cixin Liu, tackles this question and many more related issues about life in the universe. For this video, I really wanted to focus on something that I find the most interesting and somewhat horrifying: the way the story explains the absolute lack of evidence of life in the universe, despite there essentially being infinite possibilities for it to exist. So just a warning that there will be general spoilers for the 3 Body Problem books, and probably for the show as well. Named after Italian-American physicist Enrico Fermi, the Fermi Paradox is the discrepancy between the lack of evidence of advanced extraterrestrial life and the high likelihood of its existence. This paradox apparently came from a casual lunchtime conversation between Fermi and his co-workers, during which he suddenly blurted out, "Don't you ever wonder where everyone is?" Or some variation of that depending on whose account you consider. Immediately, everyone at the table knew exactly what he was referring to. He was asking, why haven't we seen any signs of extraterrestrial life? There are billions of stars in the Milky Way similar to the Sun. Some of these stars have Earth-like planets in a circumstellar habitable zone. A circumstellar habitable zone is the range of orbits around a star where the surface of a planet can support liquid water. Many of these stars are much older than our Sun, so intelligent life could have developed a long time ago, giving these civilizations a head start on developing interstellar travel. With this in mind, the Earth should have already been visited by extraterrestrials, or at least their probes. The Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or SETI, have come up with several arguments to help explain why we haven't seen any evidence of life in the universe, despite there being such a high likelihood of existing somewhere out there. One explanation is that interstellar travel is just too resource intensive. If you wanted to send a vessel that could sustain a crew and carry all of the necessities to keep them alive through the journey, it might not be worth all of the effort and cost to even do it. Another possible theory is that the universe is actually heavily populated and urbanized, but we just happen to live in some far-off corner that's so out of the way that it's not even worth visiting. A more eerie and slightly spooky idea is that we've been singled out and given special treatment. Our section of the universe is roped off and treated as some kind of exhibit for alien tourists or sociologists, that we're somehow being observed through a one-way mirror in the galaxy. The 3 Body Problem trilogy, and more specifically the second entry, The Dark Forest, has its own theory for why we haven't encountered or seen any evidence of extraterrestrial life. The explanation that is given in the book is even more horrifying when it's put into practice throughout the narrative. It shows exactly how dangerous, cold, and uncaring the universe can be. The Dark Forest theory is just that. It paints the picture of the universe as a forest shrouded in darkness and shadows. But the forest isn't empty, it's exactly the opposite. The forest is full of silent and deadly hunters. Each hunter is armed and moves through the dark forest as carefully and quietly as possible, under the assumption that there are enemies in every direction. All of them are terrified of doing anything that would give away their location. The rules of the Dark Forest dictate that it's better to shoot first and not ask questions later. In this metaphor, the entire known universe is a dark forest. and it is and has always been full of intelligent civilizations. As civilizations advance in technology, they learn to hide themselves as much as possible from any other life in the universe. To have your location known is pretty much a guaranteed death sentence for your planet. The reasoning behind this is that there is a fixed amount of matter in the universe, and as each civilization progresses, they'll begin to compete for the same resources. If you don't fire first upon discovering the existence of another species, then the assumption is that they will fire at you the first chance they get to destroy your world. In the third book of the series, titled Death's End, there's a short chapter that takes place from the perspective of some super advanced alien civilization. Specifically, the point of view is of a character named Singer, who is considered very low in terms of social status in his world. His job is considered unimportant and not too difficult. Essentially, it could be performed by anyone. As the chapter goes on, it's revealed that Singer is actually responsible for detecting signs of other civilizations in the universe, and then promptly launching a strike at them with the push of a button. Entire worlds and species are wiped out without a second thought, and from the way Singer and his superiors talk to each other, they've been doing this for a very long time. The series manages to demonstrate a miniature version of the Dark Forest and how quickly the mentality of a species can shift as soon as they're thrust into deep space, no longer tethered to a homeworld. After humanity's entire space fleet, which was their hope of fighting back against the Trisolarans, was wiped out by the droplet attack, a ship called Natural Selection fled into deep space. The ship's Blue Space and Ultimate Law were sent out to pursue and bring back Natural Selection. Soon, the small fleet of ships found themselves so far from Earth that they had no hope of returning or continuing on with the resources available to them between the ships and the crew that were remaining. Within moments of realizing this, each ship individually came up to the same conclusion. They needed to wipe out the other crews and strip the ships for parts and fuel. If they weren't the first to strike, then they would surely be killed by the other crews. This became known as the Battle of Darkness, a battle that was started and ended in a matter of minutes. These ships on the edge of our solar system formed their own dark forest and had to fire into the darkness before they were fired upon first. When news of the battle finally reached Earth, it was a horrific demonstration of how cruel and cold the universe actually is, and how in order to survive among the vast civilizations out there, you have to be just as cold and cruel. The Three Body Problem trilogy answers the question of are we alone in the universe, and the answer it provides is proven to be a terrifying one. Not only are we not alone, but we are surrounded by hidden civilizations that are dangerous and aggressive. Survival is the top priority of all species in the universe, and in order to survive, it goes back to the basic concept of kill or be killed. Fire first, fire fast, and be the last one standing. Humanity is shown time and again as an infant in space, kicking and screaming, making noise and broadcasting our location for all to see. Decades and centuries of effort trying to find evidence that we're not alone in the universe only revealed how truly alone we really are.